Hello and welcome to the Alfa Laval Net Zero launch event, where we talk about how to accelerate sustainable solutions in the energy market. We're broadcasting to you from our headquarters here in Lund, where over the next 40 minutes we're going to take you through 6 exciting new topics. And joining me now to tell you all about it is our president, Thomas Möller.
Thank you, Lily, and also a warm welcome from my side. Thanks you for joining us. And let me set the scene a bit by talking about the World Energy Outlook report that was announced from IEA here in October. They are actually talking about hope because there's a lot of transformation happening. They bring up an example where 2 years ago, 1 out of 25 cars were electrical vehicles sold in that year. This year it's 1 out of 5. And they predict in 2030 it will be every second car. So a lot of things are happening in the electrification field. Also electrification of heating is happening, where the installation of heat pumps are going very fast. And they predict that in 2030 it will surpass the installation of fossil fuel boilers. So there are hope and a lot of transformation is taking place. But they also at the same time raise their voice that it's still going too slow. So we are still heading towards a scenario where it's 2.4 degrees Celsius increase in 2050, not the 1.5 we so desperately need. So more has to happen. And of course now we have COP28 coming up, a very important event. And here IEA highlights some success criteria where one of them is around energy efficiency, where the energy efficiency improvement has to double up compared to what has happened the recent years. So energy efficiency is one very important vehicle in making the acceleration of the emission reduction happening. So that is exactly what we will be talking about today. So I think that is super exciting because we have a lot of things that can be implemented here and now. There's no reason to wait. And there will be some great examples of that. We will also talk about carbon capture, which is another vehicle for decarbonization. And finally, we will talk about the defossilization of chemicals. So I think it's a pretty exciting menu. So why don't we get started, Lily?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Before we do get started, if you have any questions throughout the event, please contact us via the feature available and our experts will get back to you as soon as possible. And with that, let's start. Joining me to kickstart the first segment on energy efficiency is Evgeny, who's here to tell us about an exciting product that's designed specifically to boost energy efficiency. So Evgeny, why is energy efficiency so important to us here at Alfa Laval?
Energy efficiency is all about making sure that no energy is wasted. This is valid for both individuals like ourselves and also for industrial and commercial sectors. Efficient heat transfer and heat exchangers is the key contributor to eliminate waste of energy. And at the same time, this is one of our core technologies at Alfa Laval. The easiest way to avoid waste of energy is to optimize heat balance in general and performance of heat exchangers in particular. This is how Alfa Laval helps industrial and commercial sector to reach their goals. And that's why energy efficiency is so important for Alfa Laval here. And we also call it energy hunting.
Great. And how can we boost or optimize performance of our heat exchangers?
There are many elements to it. I would like to mention a few. One is optimal operating conditions. Another one is keeping heat transfer surface clean. And last but not least, timely service. And they are all connected. So knowing what we know about how fouling and the buildup of dirt can impact heat exchanger performance, it's our job to make a solution that industries can rely on.
Great. And what is this product and why is it so helpful in this case?
With almost a century of knowledge and experience in production of heat exchangers, we found easy, simple and robust way to protect them. For different kind of industries, data centers, for example, or industrial plants or buildings. This is Alfa Laval self-cleaning filter, or simply ALF. ALF filter protects heat exchanger from dirt, and in many use cases help to reduce operating cost. It happens thanks to longer intervals between service, and also thanks to energy savings, because heat exchangers maintained clean. So I would like everybody to remember three things about ALF. ALF designed to protect heat exchangers. It reduces total cost of ownership, and it helps to reach sustainability targets. With all that, it makes ALF the perfect solution for energy hunting.
Great. Let's find out more about this self-cleaning filter.
Today, up to 2.5% of the world's CO2 emissions could be prevented if heat exchangers performed optimally. It's not a lack of complicated technology that prevents them from doing so. One reason may actually be dirt. A possible solution to this emission problem is surprisingly simple. Meet ALF. ALF filter is specifically designed to eliminate clogging inside gasketed plate heat exchangers, which helps us take full advantage of inexpensive secondary water in our cooling systems. ALF is not like other filters. It is a compact, self-cleaning filter characterized by its effectiveness, fully automatic operation, and low maintenance. A high-quality filter with a unique ability to protect your equipment and secure its long-term performance. What's more, it pairs with Alfa Laval gasketed plate heat exchangers' full portfolio. With increased energy efficiency and maximized production uptime, you will also be rewarded with reduced CO2 emissions and OPEX savings. If you suspect you are contributing to the 2.5%, don't worry. Just team up with ALF and stay clean.
Another great way to boost energy efficiency is through service. And joining me to talk about just that, Thomas is back. So first off, can you tell us why service is such an important part of energy efficiency when it comes to our heat exchangers?
Yeah. So first of all, energy efficiency is so critical short term because we have all the technologies, more modern heat exchangers that can be installed to boost the energy efficiency. So and a lot of that is happening. But then the efficiency really comes through the lifetime of that equipment, and the heat exchangers can be installed for 20, 30, 40 years. If we look at the heat exchangers installed in the world today, if they were kept clean and in optimal condition, we could actually immediately save 2.5% of the world's CO2 emission. So I think it's really about installing new technologies, but they have to be kept in really good shape.
Great. And what is it about Alfa Laval that makes us the perfect service partner?
So I think we have a lot of knowledge and experience in many different applications where our heat exchangers are installed today. And going out and utilizing that knowledge, we can actually secure that the heat exchangers are cleaned at the right time. I think previously there has been a lot of focus on service, of course, but more from a cost optimization, uptime optimization, avoiding expensive service bills and so on. What service is really doing now is creating sustainable performance. And that means our customers are looking at how can they reduce their scope 1 and 2 emissions. And here, having partnerships around service, utilizing our knowledge and experience, and then optimizing the heat exchangers and reducing their footprints, that's really what we do now.
Great. And what does a typical service offer look like?
Yeah, so our service organization, our energy hunters, they can go out and do energy audits. So they can, while all the heat exchangers are in operation, they can make calls on does that heat exchanger need service or not. It can also be that that heat exchanger is not optimized for that duty. We have a lot of examples where heat exchangers are designed for one thing and they are operating under different conditions. And often it's about taking out plates from the heat exchanger to secure the optimal turbulence and thereby keeping the unit in good shape. But of course, there are also service needs, and then we can do cleaning in place. We have 70 service centers around the world where we can bring the unit, clean them, and bring them back as good as new conditions. So energy audits while they're operating, and then making the calls on when to do the service at the right time. And I think we have a nice video to explain all of this. So let's jump into that, Lily.
Great.
We've spent the better part of a century developing heat exchangers, but it's not enough to make them. Maintaining them is just as important. On a global scale, as much as 2.5% of CO2 emissions could be prevented through proper upkeep. It's not rocket science. Keeping them clean goes a long way. Having them correctly configured goes even further. And our service offer aims to make this happen on a global scale. With more than 70 service centers worldwide, we can help ensure your heat exchanger is functioning at its best, regardless of location, make, or model. We tailor our service offer to the actual performance of your heat exchangers, which maximize uptime and minimize cost. And if your operating conditions change, we support you by suggesting efficient upgrades and improvements, helping you save energy, boost uptime, and secure product quality. But more importantly, it lowers emissions. We pride ourselves on speed, quality, and safety because we intend to keep at it for as long as it takes. Building on a century of achievements towards a century of action. Join us in the hunt for energy savings.
Joining me to round off the segment and talk about energy efficiency in the refinery industry is Eva. So first, if I can ask you, Eva, the refinery industry today is one of the industries under the most pressure when it comes to reaching net zero. How can we support these customers on their journey?
Well, Lily, as long as we consumers still request the refinery products, and then I'm not only talking about various types of fuels, but also raw material for plastics, fertilizer and detergent production, solvents, lubricants and waxes, rubbers and bitumen, and even the feedstock to produce medication and healthcare products, the refineries have to invest in solutions that will transform their production into a sustainable production. And here Alfa Laval can support in many ways. Of course, we have our solutions that are used in the production of HVO, SAF and green hydrogen that will reduce the Scope 3 CO2 emissions. But we can also provide substantial solutions and efficiency improvements for Scope 1 CO2 emissions, specifically then with carbon capture processes, but also by maximizing energy efficiency of the refinery processes. Our heat exchangers are key elements in maximizing the energy efficiency in the refinery processes. And we can often reduce the fuel consumption and the CO2 emissions from furnaces and boilers with more than 25%. So today we see a huge interest from the refineries to contact Alfa Laval and involve us already early in their project phases when they are working with the process design and optimization to make sure that they minimize the CO2 footprint of all their new processes in their new and existing assets.
Great. And what are some of the key processes where Alfa Laval can really make a difference?
Our heat exchangers are mainly used in the most energy-consuming processes in the refineries, such as crude distillation, catalytic reforming, and naphtha hydrotreatment. And now, with our latest development in the Packinox technology, we can also target and provide our efficiency solutions to the diesel hydrodesulfurization processes all around the world.
Wow, fantastic. And what is it about this product development that makes it such a game changer?
The Packinox technology was first launched in 1982, and it quickly became the industry standard to be used to maximize the efficiency of catalytic reforming processes. On the other hand, it's not been so widely used in the diesel hydrodesulfurization process, mainly because of the risk of salt formation when the reactor effluent vapors are cooled down. With this new development, it is possible to integrate a water wash inside the heat exchanger that will effectively remove any salt that has deposited on the plates. And this makes it possible for us to offer our Packinox heat exchangers to diesel and mid-distillate hydrodesulfurization units to maximize the energy efficiency, reduce fuel consumption and CO2 emissions by an amazing 80 to 100%.
Wow, great. Let's find out more in this next video. For the foreseeable future, diesel will continue to be a vital energy source for the transportation and agriculture sectors. Whether it's derived from renewable or fossil sources, the process of converting raw materials into diesel consumes a vast amount of energy. Consequently, the refining industry is continuously exploring new methods to enhance energy efficiency and minimize CO2 emissions. The HDS plant is a major energy consumer in the diesel production process. This section of a refinery is where sulfur is removed from the diesel and the fuel attains its final on-spec properties. Although the energy used in the HDS plant is recovered, this is typically done using inefficient shell and tube heat exchangers, leading to substantial energy wastage. Alfa Laval offers a much better solution, the Packinox heat exchanger. Replacing existing shell and tube heat exchanger systems with a single Alfa Laval Packinox improves energy recovery dramatically. This translates into fuel gas savings ranging from 80 to 100%, along with corresponding reductions in CO2 emissions. Packinox heat exchangers have been successfully used in HDS plants for more than 2 decades, delivering sustainable performance and large energy savings year after year. Considering there are approximately 600 refineries globally, Packinox technology could potentially cut CO2 emissions by 10 million tonnes annually, comparable to the emissions produced by 120,000 trucks. Thanks to an innovative plate cleaning system, Packinox can be used in both high temperature and low temperature processes, paving the way for massive energy savings irrespective of process type. Contact us or visit our website to learn more. Together, we can make a difference. It's time to move on to our next segment on clean energy, where we'll be talking about one of the technologies that will help shape our future: carbon capture, usage and storage. And joining me via link is Francisco from Sulzer, and with me in the studio is Osama from Alfa Laval. So if I can start by asking you, Francisco, what is carbon capture, usage and storage, and why is it such an important piece of the puzzle when we talk about the future energy landscape?
Carbon capture, simplified, is removing the CO2 from a gas stream, compressing it, and in the case of utilization, using it as a raw material for new products, or in the case of storage, storing it under the ground instead of emitting to the atmosphere. Carbon capture and storage is relevant for the energy sector, such as for fossil fuel or biomass-fired power plants. In particular, the combination of carbon capture and storage with biomass or waste-to-energy plants allows for negative emissions, which are particularly important to meet the climate goals. But carbon capture and storage is also relevant for many industries, as the chemical industry or for steel production. And it's a key strategy to make the construction industry more sustainable, which is particularly hard to decarbonize. These industries contribute the most to the global emissions today, and accordingly, CCS is needed to offset these emissions in order to meet the climate goals.
Okay, and how is Sulzer supporting its development?
Currently, the main commercial technologies to capture CO2 from gas streams use a liquid solvent, what is denominated as CO2 absorption. And Sulzer Chemtech has more than 20 years accumulated know-how on CO2 absorption. In these processes, the separation technology that is used to separate the CO2 from the other components of the flue gas is the most critical unit. So to deliver optimal performance in these separation columns, Sulzer has developed a proprietary structure packing, which is called Melapack CC, and that has been specifically designed for carbon capture applications. This Melapack CC increases efficiency by 20% when compared to conventional structure packing, while enabling the capture of at least 90% of the CO2 contained in the exhaust flue gas. In fact, Sulzer's separation technology is present in the largest and oldest capture facilities in the world. So based on our long-standing accumulated experience and know-how on carbon capture, firstly, we can help industries in the phase of feasibility studies, looking into the specificities of their flue gas, and there, using our broad knowledge about various applications, we can help them to redefine the optimal solution in terms of the process design. Secondly, we have a pilot test facility for carbon capture here in Switzerland that can operate under a broad range of operating conditions relevant for solvent-based CO2 capture processes. So in this pilot plant, we can test how different solvents behave, what type of operating conditions are really required, and of course, we can test also in our labs various of our products for the process design and for the equipment. And last but not least, we are in the process of building mobile test units to demonstrate at the client side how we can really operate the capture plant with real flue gas streams together with the process solutions that we can actually offer. So to wrap up, our flagship product for carbon capture is the Melapack CC that I mentioned before. So we can simply deliver our mass transfer components, but also the process design, and also we aim at going for entire process solutions for small plants. So if it's not too big in a scale or for a pilot or a small demo plant, we can even provide our clients with a skid-mounted solution, including the entire range of our product portfolio for the absorption and the disruption technologies in there that we are currently preparing actually, and at least in a feasibility stage for various clients. So finally, Sulzer also wants to expand their scope of solutions and is now also developing, together with Blue Planet, a technology for combined capture and mineralization to green up the construction sector.
Wow, fantastic. And where does Alfa Laval come into the picture, Osama?
Good question. Let me just give a bit of context before we dive into this part. So first of all, the most dominant technology, like Francesco just said, is one that is called liquid absorption. And this technology is quite energy intensive. Actually, the energy consumption there can cost up to 60% of the total operational expenses of a CCS plant. And then in order to have this CCS process significantly operating at a high efficiency, this is of significant importance. And this is exactly where Alfa Laval comes to the picture, because you need to make this efficiency this process as efficient as possible, and accordingly you need to use efficient heat exchangers, because the heat exchangers are a quite essential part of the process. So this is what we see, our value addition to the CCS industry, working closely with our customers to optimize the processes, to have them operating at highest possible efficiency using our technologies of heat transfer equipment. And when it comes to the heat transfer equipment, we have a quite wide portfolio that we can help our customers select the optimum technologies from.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. Before we move into our third and final segment, here's a quick reminder to send in any questions. Our experts are ready and would love to hear from you. Joining me for the final segment is Karin, who's here to tell us all about defossilization. So Karin, when we talk about net zero, we always talk about decarbonisation. But for a lot of our customers, carbon is essential. So what does this mean for the climate?
Yeah, absolutely. For many industries and products, carbon is actually part of the product. Just take textiles, take furniture, take cars, take houses and takes many of the things that you use every day, they all consist of carbon. So, and you yourself consist of carbon. So for all these materials you cannot decarbonize, then you wouldn't have anything. And we would probably sit here naked because our clothes are to a big fraction made out of carbon. So here, net zero is about replacing the fossil carbon with renewable carbon sources. And this is what we call the defossilization. And once you have replaced the carbon source with a renewable carbon source, you should keep it in the materials until end of the life, and then you should make sure that you have a circular approach and keep the carbon molecules in a circular system and reuse them. And by that you will have net zero impact to the climate, as you will have no extra addition of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere.
Great, and how can we support customers with defossilization?
Yeah, as I said, defossilization is about switching the feedstock from a fossil feedstock into a renewable feedstock and to keep that in a system. And that actually means that we need to invent and develop a huge amount of new industrial processes. And we need to build a huge amount of new factories being able to produce what we need from a renewable carbon source. And all these factories need technologies, such as separation technologies, the disc stack, high-speed separators, the decanter centrifuges. You have a lot of heating and cooling duties that call for various types of heat exchangers. And what is also common for many of these processes is that they use a huge amount of water that gets soiled, and water that need to be cleaned and to be able to be returned and reused in the production process. So what we bring to the customers is our expertise on the separation equipment and the heat transfer equipment, and we combine that with the knowledge and the needs of the customers to develop the new processes.
Sounds fantastic. Let's take a look in more detail.
Yeah, let's do.
Decarbonisation is critical. We all know this. Green electricity and green hydrogen will replace finite fuels based on fossil feedstocks, and the wheels will keep on turning. On our cars, at least. But there's one question that doesn't get the attention it deserves. Because when we remove fossil feedstocks, we also remove carbon. And carbon is used for much more than filling up. Carbon is actually the key molecule in almost everything. So the question is, how do we keep the wheels spinning in all industries?
Today, we rely almost exclusively on fossil feedstock. Take plastic, for example. Of the 450 million tons produced annually, less than 1% is made from renewable sources. To meet future demands, we will need to move from a linear consumption to a circular system that can handle multiple renewable carbon sources at scale. The biggest source will come from recycled carbon, and it won't be enough to recycle plastic. We will need advanced recycling plants that can handle a wide range of material to reach the estimated 55%. We will also rely heavily on biocarbon and captured carbon, both of which will require a massive scale-up from today's levels. These carbon resources all require different process solutions to be handled in a sustainable way, but they all have two things in common. They all rely on advanced downstream separation and efficient energy integration. Both are keys in order to reach high product recovery, high product purity, and an optimized use of water and energy. The good thing is that great downstream separation technologies are available today. And even better, Alfa Laval has been optimizing them for almost a century. So even if the renewable carbon industry is young, we already have more than 70 years of experience with the separation technologies needed to make this happen. There's no denying that the switch from fossil carbon will take massive amount of work, but it's no longer a matter of how. it's a matter of when. And at Alfa Laval, we are ready to make this happen today.
What a fantastic opportunity. And if we continue on the line of the plastic industry as an example, how are these renewable feedstocks actually made?
Yeah, actually, as we heard, the feedstock, the most obvious feedstock that you would think about would be biomass. But actually, biomass and biomass waste will not be enough to match the demands of the increasing needs for materials, which is likely to double until 2050. And as well, biomass will compete with production of food. So that will be a hard stop for the capacity we can get from biomass. So the projections, long-term projections, is that about 20% of the feedstock will come from biomass. And then we also heard that a big fraction is going to come from waste and recycled carbon. And actually more than 50% of the feedstock will come from various waste sources, municipal solid waste or industrial waste that is captured and brought back into the system. And the I personally think it's super cool, but it is actually already done in the labs, and it's also already done in larger scale. So when you talk to the industry, that is actually going to be a reality in 10 years from now as well, to complement the other sources.
How exciting. And why is downstream separation specifically, why is that technology so important in this process?
Actually, there are two big routes for producing polymers in a sustainable way, and one of these big routes is industrial fermentation. And then you use the bacteria and yeast. And the fermentation takes place in huge vessels where you feed the bacteria with a water solution that contains sugar. And when then the bacteria or yeast eat the carbon source and converts it to the polymer you want. When one batch is full, then you need to separate out the polymer from the bacteria that remains, the debris or the bacteria and the water. So you need a lot of separation technologies to do that separation. And based on which polymer you are producing, you need a variety of separation and washing steps that require high-speed separators and decanters and other equipment to refine the final product.
And how can Alfa Laval support this new industry?
Well, we have been delivering disc stack high-speed separators and decanter centrifuges for the fermentation industry or industrial fermentation industry for more than 70 years. Actually starting with breweries and then continuing with industrial fermentation in the pharma industry where you produce various drugs. And all that old know-how and competence and expertise we now combine with the needs of developing new fermentation processes. And in that sense, the partnership with our customers is of essence, because the customers, they need, and the innovation companies, they need to step out from the lab and go over to pilot and demo scale, and thereafter going up towards the full-scale production plant. And in all that scale up, there is need for the expertise and know-how about the actually equipment that can do the job in these new factories. And we need to combine that also with the needs from the customers and adapt it to their specific polymers and production processes. All in all, what we can do together is actually optimize the purity of the polymer, make sure that we have the highest possible yield from the feedstock put in. So all is a brilliant combination of knowledge and collaboration.
Great. Let's find out more in the next video.
In a world where sustainability is the key to our future, it's extremely important that we produce everyday material from renewable resources. Hello, my name is Karin Gredegård and I work with business development at Alfa Laval. Plastic materials are an important part of our lives, and 99% of it is currently produced from fossil feedstock. But the good news is that there are processes being developed for production of renewable polymers that can replace plastics. Behind me, in the test tubes, you can see the renewable feedstocks. Recycled material, organic waste oil, biomass, and captured carbon. They are all carbon-rich material that are already above ground and that can be used for production of renewable polymers.
Hi, my name is Francesco Montecchio and I am an Alfa Laval separation technology expert. In the last few years, several new routes have been developed to produce renewable polymers. The journey begins with upstream pretreatment of renewable feedstock. Then these feedstocks are converted into renewable polymers. Several new technologies are used, and for example, fermentation using microorganisms or applying high temperature and pressure in pyrolysis and gasification. The next step in the process is downstream separation, and here is where our separation solutions can add a great value. We can help to recover products, minimize losses, and ensure a high product purity while using as little energy and water as possible. While renewable polymer production is relatively new, Alfa Laval has more than 70 years of experience in similar processes.
We can help you solve your downstream separation challenges, minimizing product losses, improving product quality while saving water and energy.
Before we move on to Thomas's final thoughts, I just want to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to all of our studio speakers for joining me here today, and to all of the people who helped make this event happen. And lastly, just before I send you off, if you have any questions, this is your last reminder to send any of them in. Our experts are ready and waiting. And with that, over to you, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Lily. We open up today speaking about IEA, the energy outlook, and also IEA speaking about hope. And I'm also very hopeful. I'm hopeful because of the great examples we have seen today around energy efficiency, carbon capture, what we have seen around defossilization. So, and then I'm also very hopeful of all the great and smart colleagues I'm with every day who is so determined on making a difference and on such a clear mission. And the same goes with our partners and all our customers. But like IEA say, we also need to do more. We need new technologies for the new clean energy landscape really to scale. And that's why we in Alfa Laval has announced during the Capital Market Day that we are creating a new business unit to drive the electrolyzer and fuel cell technologies. That is for the hydrogen value chain. And we have also decided together with the board that we will make a big innovation center here in Lund, in Sweden, to further boost the technologies going forward. So last year in 22 we had 2 net zero launch events. Then this year we have had 3, Lily, and next year we will have even more because there is so much things being ready for launch and for really decarbonizing and defossilizing the world. So stay tuned and thanks for joining us today.